Hi everybody, Tim Thompson, CPA. Hey, I'm coming at you from my sister's front porch. I literally thought she just came out the door, but no thanks. Anyway, my sister's front porch. It's always nice to get a little getaway during tax season, and I've done so this weekend to handle some clients down here where she lives down in the hill country of Texas, and thought, you know what, this would be a beautiful setup to do the next video. So that's what I'm doing. And I'll show you around here in a little bit. That's why I was trying to do this while it's still sunny outside, so that I could show you a nice little view as we leave today. But first off, what am I going to cover? I want to talk to both individuals and businesses. For the individuals, it's going to be for those of you who deal with any money-making stuff that you're doing on the side gig, right? And then for businesses, we're going to talk a little bit about those who want to convert from a C Corp to an S Corp. So first off, to the individuals, if you're earning money on the outside, I always get asked, can I do this? Can I do that? Do I have to report this? Do I have to report that? Technically speaking, yes, you have to report it. The day you get a 1099 miscellaneous, you definitely have to report something. I can't tell you if you choose not to report something, whether or not you're in the clear, but I will tell you the rules say that you have to report anything that you're doing that generates income. So, the IRS released a report, and I want to say it was like 2016 or so. It may have been even later than that. I'm looking on my little notes right here, but that said something like 1.9% of what do they call it? I'm looking for, alternative non-employee work arrangements. I love the IRS and their wording. They're so funny. So alternative non-employment work arrangements only grew by like 1.9% from 2000 to 2016. But more than half of that increase was from the time period 2013 to 2016. So definitely they're seeing an uptick with all the direct marketing, whether it's, I did Stream Energy here a few years ago, and sold energy on the side just to make a little bit extra money. I've got clients that are Mary Kay, Rodan Fields, that kind of thing. I've got clients that are Lyft and Uber drivers, so and they're all doing something on the side just to generate a little bit of money. So the second that you get that 1099, you definitely have to report something, okay? You can't hide that anymore. You're not supposed to hide it ever, but some do, and I can't say much about that. So kind of the characteristics of the side hustle, they're always treated as independent contractors, and they conduct their jobs through like an online platform a lot of times. I know all those that I've already listed have an online platform that they work with. And they, they're not generating a lot of times enough to make a ton of money. Now, I've got some friends, and some of you that probably see this message, they're making a living doing what a lot of people just start as a side gig. So that's great. To be honest, my CPA firm for a long time was a side gig. I had a W-2 job and just grew the thing on the side, and off we went. So, and sorry, the lighting's awesome because the sun's getting brighter, so this is going to be kind of crazy. So what do you need to do in terms of taxes? Sometimes if you're making enough and you don't have a lot of expenses underneath it, you're going to need to think about doing quarterly estimated tax payments. And because if you don't, you're going to be shocked at the end of the year. Plus, if you owe more than $1,000 on your tax return at the end of the year, the IRS assesses penalties and interest. Nobody wants to have those, so the best thing to do is to remit some quarterly taxes. You should receive 1099 miscellaneous, especially if you earn more than $600. They will send you a 1099 miss. Now, keep in mind, a lot of places out there, especially these online platforms, you don't get them in the mail. In the old days, we always got W-2s, we got 1099s, we got everything in the mail. And a lot of them may generate an email to you that says, hey, you got something in your portal to go look at or whatever. You may have gotten accustomed to ignoring those messages, but there's one that you really need not to ignore, and that's the one that says, hey, we have a tax form for you, 1099-MISC for miscellaneous. You need to gather all those. If you've done any side gigs to generate any income, then you need to gather all those 1099 misses and report them. But the nice thing is that generally all of your expenses, I say generally because there are some that may or may not be deductible, but generally all of your expenses for operating that side gig are going to be deductible. So if you have any questions on that, I do a lot of those. I have a lot of folks that are self-employed, and send them my way. I'll be more than happy to help you out on that. Now, to my businesses. There's not too many of you out there that this might apply to, but there's a few. I get the questions occasionally, not very often now, but occasionally about switching over from a C corporation to an S corporation. And There are times when that's definitely beneficial and times that it's definitely worth it, but there's a few traps, or not traps, but pitfalls, let's say, for you to watch for. And let me just give you a quick rundown of those. Number one, if you carry any inventories. So C corporations that are using what's called last in, first out, or LIFO, last in, first out inventories, they've got to pay tax on any of the benefits that they derived from using LIFO. How do you do that? Complex, give me a call, we'll deal with it. You can spread that tax though over 4 years, and that's something I think that kind of goes overlooked sometimes. Some people don't realize they can spread that out. So it may not be as big of a whammy as you think it is. There's also what's called a built-in gains tax. So although S Corps aren't generally subject to tax, those that were formerly C Corps and they were generating more than 25% of their income on passive type transactions, they had built-in gains like appreciated property or that kind of thing. Those things are going to be subject to what's called a built-in gains tax. And if those gains are recognized within 5 years of the conversion, this is generally an unfavorable thing as far as becoming an S corporation. There are situations where the S election will and can produce a better tax result, but this built-in gains thing can offset some of that. So it's always real pertinent that you pay close attention to that. As far as I mentioned passive income, and the 25% number actually has to do with passive income, and I apologize if that's screwing you up. If you have passive income, that's a slightly different rule, but if you have dividends, interest, royalties, rents, stock gains, that kind of stuff, if you have more than 25% of that as your income, then they can revoke your S election if it happens for like 3 consecutive years. So definitely take a look at that. If your C Corp is engaged heavily in that kind of activity, you may want to think twice about doing the conversion. And then another sticky one that gets a lot of people, when you're a C Corp and you lose money, you could go backwards with it and offset prior years where you may have made money and paid taxes, and you recoup those taxes and that kind of thing. That doesn't happen so much anymore. So if you have unused losses and you convert to an S Corp, those losses are going to be stuck until you flip back to a C Corp years down the road. And remember, there's limitations on that as well. So you want to be real careful to plan your S conversion accordingly. If you're considering doing that, just take a real long look at it. Make sure you talk to somebody. If you want to talk to me or talk to somebody else, that's fine too. But talk to an accountant that can help you look through that and make sure that that it's the right time to do it, because sometimes it may be best to wait a year. And and everything is pending whatever business tides are turning, and maybe nobody else does. So that's all I've got for this week. On the way out, I promised you a picture of what I'm looking at here, so bear with me here, but this is just some beautiful country, and I'm going to enjoy a day of it. Y'all have a great time, and I'll see you next week.